Our iron workers have to be the best. We have to have work ethic. We have to show up on time all day, every day. We claim to be the best through our training, and that's something we really harp on here at the school. And we expect our guys to work every day, be on time, work hard, be the best in this industry, because that's what's going to keep us going for another 100 years. And anyone that's willing to work hard, that's what iron work is. We sweat, we work hard all day, every day, and we're proud of that.
A lot of people call the iron workers the special ops of the building trades because we're the first ones in on the job. We're getting the project going. If there's any kind of hang-ups with us, the whole project can fall behind. So we have to make sure that we get it done on time and under budget and safely as well.
I went to college before this, and I don't really have anything to show for it. I mean, besides student debt.
The Helmets to Hard Hat program they have is a great program for veterans, and that drew me to the Ironworkers Local 172.
I didn't know I could do it, and I'm doing it. Look, Rosie the Riveter.
What mostly attracted me and kept me in ironwork was a lot of the work is what I call worthwhile work. Churches, schoolhouses, hospitals, things that benefit the community. Just to put it in perspective, school in a 4-year program is 800 hours. That is less than a half a year on the job. So a lot of the learning is on the job site from the other iron workers.
We have an old saying down here at the apprentice school that this is no place for the meek or weak, and that it's going to be a big struggle to break in during your apprenticeship, not only in the field but come into school as well. It's physically demanding, it's mentally draining. We ask a lot out of you, working hard at it and giving your all. It's all about heart and giving your all. You will succeed in this business.
Ironwork is a very broad industry. We cover a lot of different aspects of the construction industry. Naturally, structural steel comes to mind. First thing people think when they hear ironworkers is that we set the beams and the columns and the skeleton of the building, which we do that. We put the deck down. We also do the reinforcing steel that goes in down in the mud before they ever start setting the iron. We actually are involved in the curtain wall, which is the glass facade on the buildings. We do precast concrete, which goes on a lot of buildings. They'll have a strip of concrete and a strip of glass. We're involved in all of that. We move heavy machinery in industrial plants. We move anything. I've worked for machinery moving companies and went out and moved typewriters, you know, but then also go out the next day and move a 300-ton press.
What first initially drew me to be an ironworker was my whole family had been ironworkers. I'm a 4th generation. Growing up in a house full of ironworkers, it was loud, rough, and tough. I didn't think I could do what they did because, you know, my dad and them, they're all superheroes to me. I realized I liked construction, working with my hands and building stuff. And so I just followed the ironworkers route through the apprenticeship, and I really enjoyed doing it.
What drew me to become an ironworker was just building buildings, like building things. You know, I was really an arts and crafts type student, like a hands-on. So I love when I ride by something that I built, and you know, I can say, hey, you know, I did that, or you know, something I see like a bridge that I put up, and I'm like, hey, you know, it makes me proud, you know, to say that I had a part in that.
I've been a member of IronWorkers Local 172 for 39 years. I spent 34 years in the field, and I've been a local officer for the last 5. I got into Local 172 just following my father's footsteps. He had me on job sites when I was 10 years old, and I knew right then this was me. I remember going dirt bike riding with him where our outer belt is today. While they were building 270 around the city of Columbus, we were out riding dirt bikes. My father was tagged a rod buster when he was here, and he made it very clear to me that during my 3-year apprenticeship, I wanted to do all phases of the trade so I didn't get labeled and get stuck into one part of the trade. I needed to do to tie rebar, I needed to work structural, I needed to work miscellaneous. I've been blessed through my career. I've got to do a little bit of all of it, curtain wall, precast, sheeting, a little bit of everything.
Been a member of Local 172 for 32 years. I spent 25 years in the field. I became an apprentice coordinator after that for a couple years and been business agent the last 4 years. When I was growing up, my father was a union iron worker in Local 172 for 41 years, so every time we got in the car and came to the city, he would point out the jobs that he worked on. Of course, he was my hero, of course. Well, I started in 1987 as a first-year apprentice. I had just gotten out of weld school at Hobart Weld School and was actually living in Pittsburgh with my mother, and stopped at the Union Hall on the way to see my dad, and ended up being interested in iron work. And since then, that was 32 years ago. I never looked back. You know, I could say I'm testament to if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life, because I truly do. And that's what makes a successful iron worker. If you do not like doing iron work, you don't like working with your hands, you don't like building things, you really, your potential here is probably limited. You know, you have to love it. Every great iron worker that's ever passed through this local in the last 32 years that I know, the good ones loved their job, loved going to work. You know, it's what they did and they were proud of it. In fact, everywhere we go, even on Sunday, Saturday, we're dressed like iron workers. I dressed in work boots and with my pants rolled up for 25 years till I left the field everywhere I went. You know, it was just what I felt comfortable with, and it was my identity. It's who I was, and I was very proud of it, and still am. I can very clearly remember the first time I seen iron workers on a job, even though my father was an iron worker, and I'd seen pictures. It just amazed me. It was at Grant Hospital, and an iron worker, I was on the ground, of course, a brand new apprentice, and a guy was showing me how to hook on the beam, and we sent the beam, and I watched it, and I can still to this day remember that man and his name, and we became friends, of course, later. And when he crossed that beam, man, I was sold right there. That's what I want to do. It was the adrenaline, you know, the adrenaline. It's just what I wanted to be, and I had no doubt that I had. Right there is when it became clear to me that I may have found my niche. You know, I had a chance, and the potential was there, and the opportunity was there. I just had to seize it, and the rest is history, I guess.
So in 2007, I started reinforcing concrete on a bridge. It was a pretty big job. Guys were razzing me a little bit at the beginning and stuff like that. But I realized that they were doing it to help me, make me better. And then later on, after that job, I got to go out to do some structural jobs. The student union down on campus, I was there for a good bit of that. I even installed glass handrail at the convention center there for a while. That was a pretty cool job. I've worked up at Honda, installing conveyors, robots, lifters, and things like that. So there's definitely a lot of versatile aspects of the trade to get into, things that people don't even consider, like who does this? The ironworkers do it.
The ironworkers have always been there anytime tragedy strikes, for one thing. Anytime that help is needed in pretty much any way. I know the ironworkers were the first on site after 9/11. I know that recently the tornadoes over in Dayton, in the Dayton area, the ironworkers were the first out there with chainsaws. If anybody needs help, we're willing to go there and help.
Came in, I know that there was a lot of information to take in, so it was kind of like a shell shock at first, you know, like, oh, there's a lot of stuff out here that you got to learn. It's going to take so long, you know, there's just a ton of information.
As an instructor, I see people come in here all the time and not know the name of a torch, how to properly hold the torch, or any tool for that matter. And we go over that with them, and anytime you get that aha moment and it sticks with them, that's always rewarding to me. You know, I've had a chef come in here and he was certified in 6 months, a certified welder. So that was kind of a shining moment for me as an instructor. You know, for any time I see somebody's eyes light up like, I got it, that's always rewarding. The apprenticeship school starts off for a first-year apprentice kind of in a boot camp way. You know, they come in, they're tying rebar out on the job, and they're gonna come in and we're gonna tie more rebar, and we're gonna make sure that they are proficient in tying and they understand endos and other terms that come along with the trade. You need to not be afraid of heights if you're going to apply to be an iron worker. Know how to read a tape measure is almost a must in the construction industry. And basic reading and writing math skills. First year in the apprenticeship, it's going to be pretty hard on you physically.
I would say to future apprentices, just if you're going to become an apprentice, just make sure you work hard and show up on time and be ready to work when you come in.
You get up, you go to work, you get off work. Generally after work, you stop, get something to eat, or and then you come down to school. And we come to school, you get to see your classmates, which is actually a plus in this. And then you pretty much, depending on what you're doing that day, you either hit the books or you go in the weld booth or you tie rods or whatever Jeremy has you doing that day.
I went to Eastland Career Center, and before that, I was a starving artist, so I needed some money.
The benefits of being in the union, the actual benefits themselves, medical, you get dental, you get, vision, all that stuff. The benefits are really good in the union.
There's many benefits, let it be the medical benefits for myself and my family, the annuity, retirement, everything is just great.
Ironwork is labor, but ironwork is also a skill and it's also a craft. You have to have a skill set and you have to work at it. And I like to explain to apprentices, we start at a wage here and a skill level here. And the wage goes up as the skill level goes up. So if your skill level does not go up with your wage, it's not going to work.
We're guaranteed a fair living wage. We have a collective bargaining process that guarantees that we receive a fair wage. We're guaranteed to have benefits. We have health and welfare benefits. We have major medical, dental, optical. We've got a great insurance plan. We've got a pension. We've got an annuity. We're not going to retire into poverty, hopefully. And we've also got representation, and that's part of my job today, is to make sure that these guys are represented fairly.
It's the way to go to me. I went to college before this, and I don't really have anything to show for it. Besides student debt. But you come down here, they show you the work, they teach you everything that you want to know. And there's no student debt, really that you get out with, which you get a great wage that you're working with, and you get to have pride in your work. You get to work all over the place.
All over the state of Ohio. I've worked in Indiana, Michigan, New York. I've bounced around quite a bit. I make it very clear to our young men that it's the best thing they can do is to make themselves versatile, work all different phases of the trade. When work gets tight here in Columbus, they might have to go to Cleveland or maybe even so far as St. Louis, California, who knows? We can work all over North America, including Canada. And if you go into a strange local, you better know what you're doing and better be able to take whatever work order is offered to you, whether it's rods or structural or welding or whatever it might be. You better be ready to fill any work order that becomes available. And that's what makes you a good iron worker.
Local 172 apprenticeship graduates on average between 25 and 30 apprentices a year. Apprentice classes have been starting to reach record numbers with first year groups. So there's definitely room for growth and development with our local and the apprenticeship. There's a lot of interest from the younger demographic these days, from ages 18 to 27. They're looking at it as a challenge, and people are starting to arise to that challenge in the ironworkers. Before, a lot of people were looking to college as an avenue for employment and stuff like that. Now they're realizing the construction trades are a viable option as well. Great apprentices come in all different shapes and sizes. You do have to have a good head on your shoulders, be aware of safety issues. But what it really comes down to is heart and being able to retain the knowledge that's given to you here at the school and on the job site.
We welcome women into the trade. Actually, the year I got in, 1980, Local 172 got their first female ironworkers. We took 2 ladies in that year. One didn't last very long, but the other one had a pretty good career here, pretty lucrative career. She probably spent 25 years there. The Ironworkers International is one of the few, if not the only, of the building trades that actually has a maternity leave program. We try not to discriminate as far as the background goes. Some things are probably still unacceptable, but we do have quite a few guys that come here that have had some rough times and have maybe been in prison. And in today's world, the drug issue that goes on, there's a lot of guys get in trouble. And some of our better iron workers that actually came to us later on, like in their late 20s, early 30s, that have been in some trouble. And we give them that second opportunity, give them a chance at a good life, at a good living with wages and fair living wages and some benefits to go along with it. If you excel, eventually you'll become a foreman, maybe even a general foreman. The bigger jobs, you might have 8 or 10 foremen running 8 or 10 crews, and a general foreman that oversees the entire operation, and that general foreman's got a boss called field superintendent, and he might be overseeing 4 or 5 jobs of that size. And there's a lot of other ways that guys can excel their careers as well. You know, I mean, we encourage our apprentices to get involved in the local union as well. You know, encourage them to attend their union meetings and eventually run for an office in the local union. You know, they become executive board members, become trustees, and from that point they might move on up and become a business agent, president, or like myself, a business manager. IronWorkers Local 172 was chartered June 7th of 1915, so we've been around about 104 years at this point. And our jurisdiction, we cover all of central Ohio. It's all of or parts of 22 different counties. We go to the north as far as maybe Bucyrus, to the south down past Waverly, to the east a little bit beyond Zanesville, and to the west almost to Springfield. So we have the largest jurisdiction of any of the locals within Ohio.
The most rewarding thing with being an ironworker, I would say, is the work that you do. Like, you know, you put your pride into your work, and then, like I said, you drive by, you know, a building downtown, and you're like, you know what, like, hey, I built that building.
Well, I think everybody knows the Horseshoe, but we've built Nationwide Arena, we built the Schottenstein Arena, all the bridges around town you see. You know, we've got the pretty high profile bridges around Columbus. The Main Street Bridge downtown is really attractive. It catches people's eye. Lane Avenue Bridge, I think, is really cool.
So if any person is looking to become an apprentice in the Ironworkers Local 172, you can apply online at ironworkers172.com. From there, we contact the applicants and let them know about a mechanical aptitude test that is held at the Union Hall. From there, we take the top scores. They will come in for an oral interview, and then they will be hired on from there and start in the program and to work as soon as possible. Yeah, so with the Ironworkers Local 172, you're never done learning, even after the apprenticeship. You can further your learning through impact, journey person, upgrade training on the local level or international. If you're wanting to further your education with Cuyahoga Community College, who we're affiliated with, you can also do that as well.
Constantly mentor throughout our whole career, and we teach one after the other. And when they develop, they move on to teach other young iron workers. So it's kind of a flow like that of learning and a sharing the knowledge.
Absolutely. I think Ironworkers Local 172 will be here throughout a number of generations. We try to ensure that every day with our training, and we're in the process of getting a new training facility right now, and we want to train better ironworkers for a better future. Absolutely.
The most rewarding thing about being an ironworker is the camaraderie between myself and fellow brother ironworkers and sister ironworkers.
You know, it's a brotherhood. You know, it's crazy, man. I've built friendships with people in the last 3 years that I've been in that I haven't had with people that I've been friends with my whole life. So, I mean, it's really a brotherhood, and they preach that, and they live by it.